The best thing about every day was the 1 hour and 25 minutes we played every night on stage.
As you mentioned before, Trouble Gum was the most commercial and successful, the most commercial successful album so far. But is it for you also the most important album for yourself, or is that maybe something else?
In a material way, it's the most important one because it meant that the band got a worldwide audience. You know, places that were popular with Trouble Gum. I mean, Trouble Gum sold that many copies, we were playing to a lot of people, so it means when we go back now, the audiences might not be as big, but because we went there with the Trouble Gum album, we have a fan base in countries. And, you know, that was very, very important for that. Also, as a band that had been struggling at this point in time for 4 years, you know, with no money, it kind of set us up a little bit financially. It gave us the money to kind of get more equipment established. It made us financially comfortable around those times. We were able to set up our own management organisation that we wanted and keep everything in-house, which means that to this day, you know, whenever we're not on a major record label anymore, we have a financial structure there. It's a business model, you know, that we set up from the money that we got from Trouble Gum. So it's been very helpful in materialistic terms and in terms of setting up a fan base.
What do you remember most clearly about that period?
If I'm totally honest, it wasn't that happy a period. Recording the album was great. I really liked recording the record. And it was done very quickly, comparatively to other bands at the time. I mean, the drums and the bass were done in something stupid like 2 or 3 days, and then the rest of the time was guitar and vocals and mixing. But at that point in time, you know, we'd just come off a big tour. We went into the studio and we knew that there was 2 world tours lined up. The first one was just to promote the record, and then when the record started selling well, we were booked in to go straight away back to countries and play bigger venues. I enjoyed it, but I was exhausted because I was a single man, I was partying a lot. Five, the drummer, didn't enjoy it because he didn't really like travelling. He found it quite difficult, and he was beginning to kind of, you know, find it very, very difficult. With a lot of sales also comes negative criticism, so it's the same with anyone. Once you become popular, all of a sudden cool critics start saying, oh, this band's not good anymore. And I think that impacted on Fife a little bit as well. I don't think he liked not being cool. And it was sad to see. And then I think with Michael as well, you know, Michael missed home a great deal. So you had 3 guys, one of the guys that didn't want to be on tour, one of the guys that really missed home, and another guy that was partying too hard, together doing 2 world tours in 9 months. And it was all really, really quick turnaround. So I mean, to be honest, I mean, that recording the album and the success it brought was great, but the actual tour was really, really difficult. The best thing about every day was the 1 hour and 25 minutes we played every night on stage, and that was what made it worthwhile. You know, we would maybe have 3 hours sleep, get up, get a jet, get in the bus, be taken somewhere, do press all day, but it was the 1.5 hour at the end of the night that made it all worthwhile.
And how did you survive the rest of the day, except the moments on stage?
We didn't have any time. I mean, these days, I mean, for example, today, you know, we've had all morning to walk around Amsterdam, and then we have like a handful of interviews tonight, and it's great. It's fantastic. I like it. Whereas in the past, we didn't really have to worry about killing the day because the interviews would start at noon, and because it was a big record, it was television and press, which would involve television and radio trips out to television stations or radio stations. Mm-hmm. So the whole day, we would have got here about 10, 11 o'clock this morning in Amsterdam, and the whole day would have been spent in taxis and cars and courtesy cars going to and forward to places. And it was exhausting, you know, and then we would have come back to the venue, done a couple of gigs there. So there'd be no time to ourselves.
How did that time of your life define you as a person, do you think?
I think it was great for me because I loved it. You know, I was exhausted, but when I was a kid with a tennis racket in front of the mirror, whenever I was 14, wanting to be in a band, that was what I thought would be part of it. You know, I liked coming over here. I liked speaking to Ur magazine that I knew of, and Humo magazine. I liked speaking to the NME and Kerrang, and things that you dream of when you're like 15 and 16, and seeing your video on TV and going to America and talking to Rolling Stone magazine and stuff like that. It was like, it's not what I would read myself, but every time I got myself a bit depressed, you know, I would think, well, if I'm starting out in a tiny little village outside Belfast to this, it's been quite a great journey. And I think what that made me do then was it made me appreciate that, hey, you know, you can be a working musician. I can do this for a living, you know. And regardless, whenever, you know, the sales collapsed from the big sales collapsed, you know, from the major label days, we had it all in place that we could actually do this professionally. And I feel really good that all of us have been professional musicians now for the last 20 years.